Coach, for 2 consecutive weeks, you've had less production in the second half. How can you account for that with your team as much as the other team? How do you account for both situations?
Just poor coaching. That's the only reason I can say it's happened. The game slowed down. Yeah, we haven't had as many yards, but obviously the objective is to win the game, and if you're able to get a good lead, that usually happens. All right, the next one.
Steve, you mentioned after the game that some people had told Marcus if he came to South Carolina, he would never run the ball. Do you think what he did, A, proves to elite running backs they can come here and reach all their goals, and B, to freshmen at any position that they can come here and play quickly if they're ready?
Well, certainly historically, or the last several years, no running back, I don't know what's most ones carried, 15, 20 times, I'm not sure. But if you have a back that continues to make yards and you're not throwing very well, then he's going to get it a whole bunch with any coach. But certainly that was a line that some other schools used, I guess, in trying to recruit Marcus. But we basically told him that he'd have an opportunity to do that, and it came the second game of his career here. Now, will he have a game where he gets that many in the future? I don't know. You can't say. You don't know how each game progresses. But certainly, as long as he stays healthy, he needs to get the ball a lot.
Coach Johnson has bemoaned the lack of an edge pass rusher that he can count on every snap. Is he nitpicking in your opinion, or is that a area of concern for you as well?
Yeah, Devin Taylor, made some big plays last week, and we got to get him coming. And Cliff Matthews got pressure at the end of the game there, so we get those guys cranked up a little bit. I certainly think they're excellent rushers, and get a little bit more pressure on the passer. He's right. We haven't had quite the pressure we had last year with Eric Norwood, but those guys are good rushers. They'll be in there hopefully a lot.
Based on some of your concerns you told us today about the offensive line, are you contemplating any changes there, or are you going to stick with the same maybe 6 or 7 core guys you've gone with through the first 2 games?
Well, that's about all we have is those 6 or 7 guys right now. Hutch Eckerson sprained his ankle a bit, so he may not even play this week. So it'd be Jarrell and Kyle Nunn and the 3 inside guys there, Rokevius, TJ, and Garrett. But other than that, we got some freshman kids that are not quite ready to play yet. But if they had to, they'll go in there.
Steve, why do you think some of these FCS teams have been able to pull off these upsets? Do you think maybe Appalachian doing what they did to Michigan sort of opened their minds to the possibility of that, or is there more evenness between the 2 levels of football than most of us know?
Oh, I don't have the exact answer, but if you watch Miami of Ohio almost beat Florida a couple of weeks ago, you could see that they were really ready to play, and I'm not sure that the bigger schools get as fired up as maybe they need to be to play some of those smaller schools or what have you. But football, as we all know, is a game of emotion. It is. It's that old saying, it's not the dog in the fight, it's the fight in the dog when it comes to football. And certainly that's how upsets can happen. And you get a big play here or there, get a loose fumble, pick it up and score, things like that. You generally need to get 1 or 2 big breaks to get a big upset. And if you can get those and not give the other team anything, it can happen. And I think that's how James Madison did it the other day. I don't think Virginia Tech punted, but they had to kick field goals and had about 3 turnovers. So they only got 16 points without punting. That means James Madison didn't give them anything. And that's how it can happen.
Steve, after the Georgia game, a lot of folks started mentioning South Carolina as a contender in the SEC East. Do you feel that way? I mean, do you think if maybe not you're the favorites, at least you have a good shot?
We're contenders right now today, yeah, because we're 1-0. That's all it means. And we're it's better to be 1-0 and 0-1. But whatever happens down the road, we got 7 more conference games, so it's way early. We certainly hope to be a contender. We are a contender right now, certainly. I hope we are when we play the last game, the last conference game of the year.
Coach, Marcus certainly had a terrific game with those 37 carries. But along that line, how does Kenny Miles and even Jarvis Giles react to not having very many carries?
Yeah, we talked to all the guys that didn't play much, and there was a lot of players didn't play much in the game. It was a fast game. I looked at two of the defensive guys. Did you play at all? No, Coach, I didn't get in. And George only had 47 plays, and I remember asking Coach Loing. He said, "Well, you guys were out there so long, we were well rested on defense, so we played about the same guys the whole way." And sometimes you have games like that. And Kenny seemed fine yesterday. He understands. He's going to get the ball this week. He'll be in there a bunch, ready to go. But it was a game that Marcus was, knifing through guys and breaking tackles, and it was obvious to everybody in the ballpark that for us to win the game, just keep handing it to him and go from there.
Coach, at some point in the game, did you make a conscious decision to lose or win on Marcus's leg?
Well, we made a decision to start running the ball after I think Stephen had the big sack and so forth. Spencer Lanning had some big punts that kept him bottled up way down there. But, yeah, we got hit from the blind side, and then we had that big sack. And so it was time to just try to play smart. So, fortunately, it worked out there.
You guys have been pretty productive in the red zone so far. I think 8 for 8 with 6 touchdowns. What's been the difference this year as opposed to last year, where you seem to struggle at times in the red zone?
Oh, I don't have the answer for that. We did fumble down there once. That wasn't in the red zone, I guess. No, I don't have the answer for that. But obviously, we don't have but 1 touchdown pass all year, so we're running it into the end zone, which is something we've not been able to do since I've been here. It's been very difficult to run it in from 2-3 yard line. We had to try to sweep them or something to get in, but we've been pretty fortunate to run straight and get it in there. Yep.
Steve, since Marcus's performance Saturday, just about everyone has an opinion on his running style, comparing it to Herschel, George, Emmett, and I asked Marcus himself. He says he likes Joseph Adai. Who does he remind you of? Anyone?
Yeah, I mentioned earlier that I think his style's a lot like Emmett Smith, because Emmett, his shoulder pads seem to always be square when he's coming through the line of scrimmage. Tacklers do not get a good, clean shot at his body because his pad level is so low, and even when they're diving at his feet and ankles, he's able to get his feet out of the ground if they come in there real low. And that's how running backs can stay healthy a long time. In fact, Emmett, gosh, I don't think he ever had any knee surgeries or anything, ankles or anything over the years. And he lasted a long time without injuries. So I think Marcus's style will keep him healthy. I believe. Hopefully it will. And but we'll see how it goes. But he doesn't give the tacklers a good clean shot at him, and he has the ability to sort of just glance off and break tackles and so forth.
Steve, I really couldn't tell from what you said Sunday. What's Wesley's current status? Has anything changed at all?
We haven't heard anything yet.
I didn't know if he was back with the team.
No, he's not back.
Okay.
Yep.
Coach, I want to ask you a general question about college football. There's been a lot of talk this week. Obviously, been Boise State since they beat Virginia Tech. But some people are sort of looking at that Virginia Tech loss to James Madison and thinking what effect it's going to have on Boise State's chances to make the national championship game. And what do you think that impact will have?
What do I think about Boise State's chance? Oh, I don't have a strong opinion of that. I did hear Bob Davie. You need to ask guys like Bob Davie. I just was watching ESPN, and he did our game here against Georgia, and he was commenting that he watched the Notre Dame Michigan game afterwards, and he was telling whoever the announcer was there what a difference in athletes, the speed and quickness of the athletes down here in the SEC compared to up north. So that's what he was talking about. So when you talk about Boise State or whoever, the only way to ever settle those kind of situations is some kind of playoff, because they're not going to play the competition that the SEC schools play, and but there's not going to be a playoff, so it's going to come down to voting. You know, I think we're the only sport in the world that does it a lot with voting. So that's just the way it is. That's the way it is, and we accept it. But we don't, you know, we'll worry about that. That's not something I need to worry about. That's for sure. Okay.